Okay, well, before we really actually code in NetBeans and in Java, we actually need to learn the fundamentals of programming and its different procedures and the different terms and terminologies that we need to understand before we do the actual coding. So, programming fundamentals lesson is basically medyo mataas siya. It's very long. It will be divided into four parts. Okay, so this will be the four parts. It will be focused on dissecting the Java program, the first Java program, and how it looked like in the code, and um and I can't remember, but and I believe it is more on the different terminologies in Java. Okay, now we'll proceed with programming fundamentals, parts of Java, literals, primitive data types, variable types, identifiers, and operators. So the primitive data types, variable types, identifiers will be the part 2. And operators, kasi there are two main kinds of operators. The arithmetic, which will be the part 3, and then part 4 will be the relational operator. Okay, and the other operators also. So at the end of this programming fundamentals, you'll be developing a simple Java program through machine problems that I'll give you after the discussion of the entire four parts. Okay, so you just expect na every I finish each of those parts, I will give some assessments. It could be a quiz, a exercise activity to be submitted, or an oral quiz. And then at the end of the discussion of the arithmetic operator and the relational operators, there will be a machine problem. So two machine problems, one for the arithmetic and one for the relational operator. Okay, so this is the first Java program. We'll actually code that in NetBeans, but for now, let's just dissect first what's inside the code and the basic code. Okay, so we do have here public class hello, open brace, and then we do have some comment. We called it as comment, and then public static void main, and then string args, and then another comment, and then system.out print and hello world, close brace and close brace. Okay, curly brace rather. Okay, so let's dissect. So in Java, we always the modifier of every class should be public. It indicates that our class is accessible to other classes and other programs within the folder or directory folder or within the network. And the class keyword there, so after public, we do have a class keyword. The class keyword is a class declaration. So all codes in Java are placed in class declaration. So the keyword there indicates that it is a class and it is a Java program. And then we do have the hello. The hello after the class, then we do have the word hello. So hello is a name of the class. Okay? So always remember that the name of the class must be the same with the name of the file. And then it must follow that it must have a capital letter, okay, of the first word. Naka-uppercase yung first letter rather. Okay? So next is the curly brace. So it indicates that it is a start of a block. So in this code, we place the curly brace at the next line. So after the class declaration. But you can place it after the hello, or um, here, you can place it here after the hello, or you can always place it here. It depends on you. What it is important that it must be after the class declaration statement, which is the public class hello. And then this is the comment. This is what we call as multi-line comment. So the 3 lines, the forward slash, then asterisk, asterisk. So that means when you write forward slash, then asterisk, asterisk, it means that you are starting to write a comment. A comment is something to use to document part of a code. So it's not actually part of the executable code. It's just there for documentation, for comments of your code. So those 3 lines indicates that it is a Java comment. So you proceed the comment with a forward slash, then asterisk, asterisk, and each line, when you start each line with the comment, you write again another asterisk, then you write the comment if you want to, and then you need to close the comment by writing asterisk and forward slash. Next statement is public static void main, open parenthesis string, brackets, args, close parenthesis, and then the close bracket. Braces rather. It indicates the name of one method in hello, which is the main method. So in every executable program, it must have a main method. Okay? So ano yan siya? Standard that all programs in Java that are executable must have a main method. So you don't have to worry because when you create a NetBeans, automatic naman siya that it will provide the main method, the public static void main, then string args. But as a student in programming, I want you to familiarize this. Even though it's already given in NetBeans, it is not given in examination. So I hope you familiarize or memorize the line. All programs except applets written in Java, as I said, must start with main method. So the codes or the program cannot be executed or cannot display anything without the main method. Okay, so make sure to follow the exact signature, the exact placement of each of those words, especially in the parameter string, square brackets, and then args. It is important na you follow the exact signature. So next is actually another comment. In this case, this is a single line comment. Kanina, kanina this is the multi-line comment. So when you just want to write a single line comment, you precede it with a double forward slash, and then you write the comment. Again, comments are not part of the executable code. It is just there for documentation. The next line is the system.out.println hello world. We enclose in double quotes and then semicolon. So the command system.out.println, it means that whatever text enclosed in those braces, parentheses, in the quotation on the screen will be printed or displayed in the output. So in the output, it will print hello world. So it is also important to note that every end of the statement in Java, there must be a terminal symbol, which is the semicolon. So it will indicate that it is the end of the statement. Without the semicolon, the NetBeans will issue an error. The next 2 lines, which contains the 2 curly braces, is used to close the main method. So every curly brace, meron siyang partner. Itong inner curly brace, ang partner niya is the main method, open brace. And then the close brace, the second close brace, ang partner niya is itong open brace in the class declaration. So these are just guidelines. Again, the class The file name, the Java programs must always end with .java. You don't have to worry because in NetBeans automatic it will be proceeded with .java extension under a NetBeans project folder. So file names should match the name of your public class. Okay? So if your public class is hello, the file name also needs to be hello. So in NetBeans, you don't have to worry because you need to define first the name of the file. Let's say hello, and automatic na siya maglabas ng public class hello. We'll have an example later after we discuss the yung mga programming fundamentals in NetBeans. Later na lang. File names should match the name of your public class. So, for example, if the name of your public class is hello, you should save it in file called hello.java, as I mentioned earlier. So you should write comments in your code explaining what a certain class does or what a certain method do. Okay? Basically, you also write your comments as your name at the start of your code. We'll explain later. So as I've said, Java comments, these are notes written to a code for documentation purposes. It's not part of the program and not part of the code. It will not affect the flow of the program if there are comments. There are three types of comments in Java. We have the C++ style comments, the C style comments, and special Java doc comments. The C++ style comments, it starts with a double forward slash. Then after that, the text after the double forward slash will be treated as a comment. So this is an example. So this is only used for single line comments. Next is some C-style comments or multi-line comments that starts with a forward slash asterisk and ends with a asterisk forward slash. So all text in between those two delimiters will be treated as comments. So unlike the single style comments, this C-style comments can span multiple lines. So this is an example. Again, you precede it with a forward slash asterisk, and whatever you type after that will be treated as comment, and you will end the comment with an asterisk forward slash. Then the special Java doc comments, these are used for generating HTML documentation for your Java program. So you can create Java docs comments with starting the line with forward slash and then double asterisk, and then ending it with asterisk forward slash. So like C-style comments, it can also span lines. So this is an example. So you can try it, and when you put, it is actually a coding ethics. Now, when you write your code, you must have comments. So you just label at this part of the code, this is input, at this part of the code, this is printing, etc. So you can do that in your programs. And I will highly appreciate of those students who will write relevant comments to your codes. Also, I will require at the start of your code, you will write comments. You write your name, and then the name of the machine problem. So every command in Java, we call it a statement. So this is one or more line of codes terminated by a semicolon. So the terminating, it is important, as I said earlier, that the terminating symbol, which is a semicolon, must be included after the end of the statement. So this is the example earlier, system.out print ln, then hello world. Hello world is actually a text-based literal. So when it is a text-based literal, you need to enclose it with a double quote. So block. Parang, di ba block is like this? Parang, block. Block is one of or more statements bounded by an opening and closing curly braces that groups the statements as one unit. Okay? So block statements can be nested indefinitely if needed to. So allow din yung white spaces. When you say white spaces, these are actually spaces in between text or characters. So this is an example of the block. So this is the main block. So you can start the block with an open brace and you can close the block with a closed brace. So these are just coding ethics and guidelines. In creating blocks, you can place the opening curly brace in line with the statement. So for example, you can put the opening brace at this end of the line of the method or class or the block, or you can place the curly brace on the next line like this. Second, you should indent. Okay, indent the next statements when you start a block. So when you notice there is an indentation space here, so it is important for coding readability. So that means that is part of one block kung naka-indent siya. Okay, Java identifiers, these are tokens that represents the variables, the methods, classes. Diba in algorithms and flowchart, we already have defined variables that it can store or assign values. Methods are behaviors of classes, and the name of the class is the name of the program. So examples of identifiers are hello, main, system out, numbers, etc. So it is good to note that Java identifiers are case sensitive. So that means when you say hello with a capital letter H, is basically not the same with the hello identifier with all lowercase letters. So take note also that identifiers must begin with either a letter, an underscore, or a $sign. So letters must be lowercase or uppercase. So subsequent characters may use number 0 to 9. Identifiers cannot use Java keywords that are already predefined in the Java program. Okay, dili pwede. Like class, public, you cannot use identifiers for that. Okay, so again, you cannot begin an identifier with a digit or numeric digit. Bawal yun. Okay, only letter, underscore, and $sign lang. Okay? Okay, for names of classes, capitalize the first letter. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, dapat yung class name and file name must have a capital letter in camel case. When we say camel case, so you combine all the letter words. If it is a multi-word name, you append each of the words, and then the first letter of each word must be in capital case. Okay, just like this. So this is an example of class name. So capitalize the first letter of the class name in camel case. C-A-M-E-L case. So this is an example of a camel case. For names of methods, variables. So sa mga methods naman and variables, if it is not a class, you need to start with a small letter to identify that that is a variable or method. Okay, so this is an example of method name or variable. In case of multi-word identifiers, use capital letters to indicate the start of the word except the first word. Kagaya nito, file number. Okay, so the first word kasi must be, since it is a variable or method, let's say file number is a variable, dapat small letter yung first word. So except lang sa first word, the rest must start with a capital letter. Please avoid using underscores, although this is actually acceptable, but it is not easy to read. Okay, Java keywords, these are keywords that are predefined identifiers reserved by Java for a specific purpose. So, ito yung mga reserved words na bawal gamitin for identifiers. So these are just what most of it we will discuss in programming 1, some of it will be discussed in programming 2, some we will really never discuss. Okay? So these are just some of the Java keywords that you cannot use as identifier. Okay, so you can just read. So when we say Java literals, these are tokens that do not change or are constant. So there are 5 types of Java literals, which are values to be assigned in a variable. We'll discuss the variable in part 2. So integers do have 3 types of Java literals, we do have the decimal, hexadecimal, and octal, which we have discussed in our previous lesson. So special notation are needed for integer literals. So the decimal, walang special notation. We write it as it is, 0 to 9 digits. Hexadecimal, pag hexadecimal siya, you need to precede it with 0x, small letter x, or big letter x. Example, 0x, and then you start with the hexadecimal. And then octal, you precede it with 0. So pag nakastart siya with 0, it means that it is an octal number. So the Java compiler will read it as an octal number. Example 0, then the actual value of the octal number is 14. Same with hexadecimal, when you proceeded with 0x, that means the actual hexadecimal number is C. For the floating point variables or literals, floating point means, ito yung parang may decimal value. Okay? So in numbers in Java, we do have the integral part and then the fractional part. The integral part, ito yung whole number. Then the fractional part, ito yung mga decimal values. Okay? So in Java literal, we call those numbers na merong fractional parts as floating point. So it can be expressed in standard na wala siyang mga scientific notation. So let's say for example 3.1416, that is the standard floating point value. However, you can represent it with a scientific notation. That means, let's say for example 5.8345 times 10 raised to the power of 2. Okay, so you can, when it is like that, 5.8345 E2, so it means that it is times 10 raised to the power of 2. Okay, and then another Java literal is Boolean. Okay, Boolean literal will only have two possible out values, the true or false. Okay, this is very usable for conditional statements. So it is important that Boolean literals can only be assigned to Boolean variables. Character literals represent single Unicode characters. So Unicode character is basically a 16-bit character replacing the 8-bit ASCII character set. So character literals is represented with a single code like this. So like this is represented as, and then like, let's say we have the single quote A. Special characters such as new line character and then backslash is used followed by the character code. Example, these are the examples. So you just read. And then string literals, these are multi-character literals. Okay, multiple characters. Pag multiple characters, we call it a string, and then we enclose it with double quotes. So that ends our part 1. I hope if you do have questions, just message me, and then you study the part 1, and we might have an oral quiz regarding part 1. So next would be the primitive data types. Primitive data types, variable types, and how to write a variable and declare a variable after, which will be in part 2. Okay?